Geocachomaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Hey, it's me starting. Welcome to Geo Gearheads. This is a weekly show about geocaching and geolocation games. I'm Chris of the Northwest, along with our host, Daryl W4. And Daryl, may I add, you have a very sharp-looking T-shirt on this evening.
Well, how could we have anything but our Mars rover shirts for the evening on which the Perseverance rover actually landed successfully on the Martian surface?
You know, I should at least have red on because I don't necessarily have a Mars shirt, but I didn't even do that. So, but I was able to watch it today.
Which is more than I could do.
You know, it amazed me. Of course, this is NASA, right? And JPL. They know what they're doing. They showed up on the screen a 38-point checklist of everything that had to happen just right in order for this to land. I'm like, holy cow. And you know, you think about it, they started that about 7 years ago. Here's the process of what we're going to do to get this to land on Mars. Wow.
Well, and that's the summarized checklist probably of today's activities.
Right. Of just the EDL.
This is just
descent and landing.
Yeah, this is just like checkpoint number 297 on the overall mission list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I got to listen to the JPL raw feed. So, you know, I didn't hear all the cutesy little interviews with, you know, people and, oh, you know, this is what it's going to, I know what it's going to do. I didn't know how it was going to get there, but I know what it's going to do. I have learned since then, by the way. And, you know, the EDL phase leader said, you know, hey, we want to thank the launch team. I mean, you got us here, right? You did work 7 months ago to put us exactly where we need to be today. Can you imagine that, Daryl, doing work 7 months ago and hoping that everything works right today without any input? It's like,
and I was going the other way
7 months ago, knowing that it's going to look good today.
I was going the other way. It's like only 7 months ago that they launched this thing, and it's already on the Martian surface. It's like not even a year to get from Earth to Mars. And this is, you know, one of those, it only can happen, something like once every 20 years, I think.
When it's that close. Yeah. When it's this close.
Yeah. So it's like, I think there's like 2 windows or something like that every 20 years or something like that. And hopefully we have some people in the chat who can actually pipe up and give us that information. But it seemed like an awfully quick schedule to get that rover there. And this is such a cool landing. You know, the previous rovers that we've seen land crashed. They didn't land. And this was the whole sky crane thing, which was just amazing.
Exactly. My son showed me a video of Mark Rober. He's that YouTube guy that does incredible science experiments.
Well, that guy's pretty incredible on his own. He worked for NASA.
He worked
Apple.
for JPL. Yeah. And he worked on the Curiosity rover.
Yeah.
Right. He had just one small part on it, but he was able to go back and talk to people and, you know, it really gave a good summary of what, you know, this how this is going to come in and land. And it's amazing. And at the same time, I look at it and go, how much trash are we putting around that planet and on that planet and all over that thing? Right. Because when you look at it, there's a lot going on that, you know, just to get to that rover.
Oh, absolutely. Pizza Ninja says happy Friday Eve, but trackables in space are better than pigs in space.
I don't know. Pigs in space. Pigs in space. That was pretty good, though.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I keep hoping for a revival of that.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they try actually doing a pilot of a Pigs in Space half-hour series?
I think they did.
And it,
And
like, failed miserably.
yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
in any case, I am extremely excited that the rover landed without any issues.
yeah. I mean, they talk about the 7 minutes of terror, right? So it's all automated. There's nothing you can do because there's an 11-minute delay in communication. So what you're hearing is 11 minutes ago. Well, in that 7 minutes of terror, by the time you get a report back, it's all done.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just truly astounding. It's such a feat. And every time we've landed a rover prior to this, there were issues. And I think this time, if there were issues, they at least covered them up better.
Aren't they only like at a 50% track record for landing things on Mars?
I thought it was better than that, but not by much.
But I mean, if I had a 50% track record, no, I don't know if I'd have a job.
Yeah. And Kitty Catch, yeah, we're in a totally different business. Kitty Catch says, so cool to see that this morning. Now waiting for the TB to be unlocked so we can discover it. I don't know that the tracking number made it out yet. Did it, Kitty Catch? I thought that,
I'm not
we had
aware
to
that it
wait.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that to happen, and I want to see what actually happens with that because the cameras that they were showing look terrible.
Well, and they were meant to.
Yep.
They're collision avoidance cameras. Right?
Yeah.
And
And
they said
they're
they had-
hardened cameras.
They're hardened cameras. There's glass on the outside. My understanding is that they had some protective cover, and you got all the dust kicked up. That those covers will fall off, and they'll get a clearer picture eventually. But they
Well,
just.
and I
sent
was
a picture back
watching
and-
the post feed, and they were saying that they have to wait for the dust to settle before they start unpacking. So I think part of the delay is let the systems get their stuff going and get it up and running.
Pizza Ninja says I have less than a 50% DNF rate. Just saying.
That's where you want to have it. But Kitty Catch says that she did get the tracking number already. So that's kind of interesting. I would definitely like to figure that one out. It has been leaked, but it won't be released for a little while, is what GSM Times 2 is saying. So there you go. It's leaked, but I still want to see the actual calibration disc.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Well, we got a little backstory on how that got up there.
Yeah, there was something in the geocaching blog, and they did an interview with one of the creators, shall we say?
Mm-hmm. Francis McLovin.
Really?
No, McCubbin.
I was like,
oh, Daryl,
wow.
Your face there for a moment. That was priceless.
Oh, like, did I really just hear that?
Oh.
Okay. So, Geocaching HQ asked about how the trackables ended up on the Perseverance rover, and he went into this whole story of how he found out about what the mission was and how it was playing fetch to retrieve samples, kind of thing. And his first thought was the rovers are going geocaching on Mars.
Ooh.
So it's an interesting read. Definitely go and check it all out. And I put a whole big chunk of that story in here, and it's just way too long to read on the show. But it is an interesting concept, and this is just another geocaching geek like we are. Well,
Daryl?
maybe not like we are, but definitely a geocaching geek.
Yeah, that's right. The tracking number for the Sherlock, is very easy to find.
Really?
Yeah, I just found it quickly. So I mean, there's NASA, as GSM Times 2 said, there's NASA documentation there to that got leaked.
Uh,
Or sorry, just finding our way. There says there's lots of pictures online of the calibration target. Just saying.
okay, I just went and Googled accidentally Perseverance, and when you Google Perseverance, it comes up with fireworks on the page. Over, fireworks coming over the
Nice.
search results. Nice job, Google. That's awesome.
So I Googled a Sherlock calibration target.
I did the Perseverance target, and I think I found the same thing that you probably had.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's the fireworks. I had to go look. This is so great for audio. Oh, there's a lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
Not just a few.
Two worlds collide. You see, the one that I'm staring at doesn't have a
Kitty Cash just
tracking
check
number
out
on
the
it.
images on 5 weird things NASA Perseverance is bringing to Mars. I think it's really cool that they're bringing a drone, right? What do they call it? Rotational.
I can't remember what the name was, but yeah.
Yeah, like rotational lift aircraft or something. And I did watch the interview with that gal, and she, it's amazing. First of all, how do you build something here on Earth to work in a completely foreign atmosphere? That's not easy, right? Because you have to go create that atmosphere to make sure it works. There's no real scientific experiments for this craft. They're just testing out, will this work?
Yeah, it's so cool, just in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. I just came up with a Sci-Tech Daily article about the 5 hidden gems riding aboard the rover. Wow.
Anything you didn't know?
No, but it's cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I got to stop looking at this. As I continue to look. Wow.
Daryl, look over at the show notes.
But the show notes don't have shiny objects.
Okay. Let's see. Dr.
Look for
McCubbin
signs
says,
of life and to collect.
The whole thing, this whole tracking code started when a fellow JSC colleague, Dr. Mark Fries, and his son Wyatt thought it would be cool to send a geocache to Mars, like the one on the International Space Station. Mark and Wyatt have dabbled in geocaching, and they thought it'd be a fun way to engage the general public about the Mars 2020 mission and the science that Perseverance rover would conduct on the Martian surface. Mark is the co-investigator on the Sherlock instrument, a scientific instrument aboard the Perseverance rover. He floated the idea to mission management, and they agreed it would be fun to engage the public about their sample caching rover. At that point, Mark wanted to bring someone into the project that had more geocaching knowledge and could speak the language. So he was brought in 2016. Daryl, that was 4 years, could have been 5 years ago.
Yeah, wow. Which you think about it is a pretty short time to get this all done.
GSM times 2 says great audio podcast with Daryl looking at a screen.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Oh, so
for nerds, and we enjoy it.
I find it interesting that this rover is they actually use the term caching. They're caching samples, geological samples that they're leaving behind. And, in hopes that they'll be able to get the next rover off the ground to go pick those up and be able to launch the first thing off the Martian surface, the Martian ascent vehicle, which will get them back up into space and get those samples returned.
Well, it's such an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really sure, I guess, how to get the samples back right now. So let's just
they have a plan, but at this point, it's going to take over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't in 10 years, why wouldn't you send a rover that could collect them and return them at that time? Why do you need to collect them now?
Well, and that's kind of the thing is I'm thinking this actually does make sense for them to just do the very specialized mission to do that.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're gonna, the new rover they send up to collect the samples would also make samples of its own, and they'd be able to compare the difference.
Well, and that's I think what they're trying to do is collect the samples from multiple areas and then bring them all back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can do that and get all of these rovers out there, then pick up those samples and bring them back, it's going to give you a much better sample with one return flight than if you have to do a whole bunch.
Right. And they're saying that the mechanical arm, the robotic arm used for putting the samples in the container, is the most advanced arm that NASA has ever built. Not the one actually doing the samples or, the other arm, but the one that actually takes the sample, puts it in a container, seals that container, and drops it.
And Just Finding Our Way says it's a good test of how well lock and locks stand up on Mars.
Mm-hmm. It's cold. You got to get a good seal on that.
Yeah, and GSM Times 2 says those might even survive the Michigan winters.
Maybe.
Changing subjects, I was talking with a gentleman on Monday or Tuesday night out of South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere because it's negative 29 degrees Fahrenheit, real temps, not with wind chills.
Right.
It's like, that puts my -4 in perspective. Thank you.
What's amazing to me is the temperatures in Texas.
I know.
They're -9 or lower in some areas. Pipes are bursting. They're not built for this.
No, they can't do it at all. And a lot of buildings just don't have heat, or if it does have heat, it can't heat more than a few degrees above the outdoor temperature.
Well, and they're having electrical issues, delivery issues, obviously, because I have a brother-in-law down in Dallas area, and this is 6 days without power. Now, he did have power for a couple of hours today, but that's not enough to keep things going.
GSM Times 2, going back to the Mars rover, says he thinks the first time that they went to drill samples, it failed, so it makes sense that they would drill them now and collect them later.
And I apologize, I don't remember which one of the twin rovers is still working. I want to say Curiosity. Didn't it drill down and then use some analyzer, a laser or something to determine like a spectral analysis of the material?
I don't know that was Curiosity, but I do remember something about that.
There are so many Mars rovers, we just can't keep track of them. And I felt that during one of the presentations, they were very Apple-like in their presentation. This is the biggest and best rover we've ever built.
I know. I saw that. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Really, guys? You're going to go there?
This is the best rover we've ever built.
So I'm not going to go and stand in line for your samples from the Mars rover. Sorry.
How about getting your own rover?
No, definitely not. I can't afford that.
Okay. I mean, just think about it. You could go to work.
We're trying to sell like a moon buggy, maybe.
You can go to work at 3 miles an hour. And,
but you can go to work on the Martian surface.
Could be directing it over the web. You could put your controls up on the web and have it crowdsourced getting you to work.
It's your new telepresence device.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how many people know what that is, so I'm going to tell you. Google it.
Big Bang Theory is what comes to mind.
Well, yes, there's one in there. I like the one on Grand Tour better, though.
Okay, give you that. Uh,
Though that episode especially was not very family friendly.
uh, there's a new show out with Tori Belleci and I suddenly forgot his name. The little guy from Grand Tour.
Yeah, and of course, now that you said that, Richard Hammond.
Richard Hammond,
I was blanking on it too.
Great Escapist.
Yes,
It's actually quite funny.
I so hard tried to watch that, and I couldn't make it through the second episode.
Mm,
There's a lot of funny in there,
yeah.
but it is a lot harder to follow than to like stay attached than I wanted.
So anyway, I've been enjoying that one.
Yeah, it is an interesting show. I just wonder what they did to actually produce that thing. And you can't tell that there's a big film crew with them.
And we should just have GSM times 2 on the show because he knows everything. He says that the first rover drilled down, pulverized the material, and sampled those, but they didn't really drill them. An arm dug a few inches.
I think they had a drill and the drill got stuck on the first sample.
Or couldn't drill through the first sample or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe it just, I don't remember. But yeah, there was an issue with the drill.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't we move on, though, because we've been on the Mars rover for like 20 minutes. And we do have an extension to the Wonders of the World.
This is really interesting to me.
I don't recall them ever doing anything like this before, and it definitely hasn't been done like this, because the Wonders of the World was the first one of its kind where it was just find one of these 7, any of these 7, and once you got all 7 of the virtual tags on the caches, you can move on to the next level. So now they're going to add 2 more levels. That's essentially what they're doing.
Right. So it's kind of an adaptation of Mystery at the Museum.
It's adapting the code from Mystery at the Museum.
Right.
They're just playing it in a different way.
Exactly. So they're adding digital treasures to existing geocaches. So
this time, starting on the 24th, so it hasn't started yet, which is kind of frustrating.
Got about a week or so.
Yeah, not quite a week, but almost. But the 2 editions are going to launch, and we'll have the natural and the solar system wonders stamps with 3 more souvenirs. So once you have to find the first 2, the modern and the ancient wonders, then you can start on your natural wonders of the world, followed by the solar system wonders of the world. And each one of those sets has its own souvenir. And then once you complete both of those, you'll also receive the Ultimate Explorer souvenir.
So, Daryl, interesting idea that you have to have the first 2. Does that mean they're extended?
Yes, the whole thing has been extended, and they have not announced an end date. And they've said they will let us know if there is an end date.
I have to say, I really like the digital treasures on geocaches, Wonders of the World
and
style.
I like this concept better now than I did last year. When they extended it last year, it was like, yeah, okay, now it doesn't have as much. Now they've added 2 more levels and extended it further. So now it becomes something that's one of those like rites of passage that once you get into caching, you can go and do this. And if they keep extending it, which I don't know if they will, I mean, they've gone to solar system. What's next? Galaxy.
How far can you go beyond that? Right.
Right.
You can go out to the new stars. You can go stars beyond, but
yeah, and anyway. they might do something else and go like, wonders of the Animalia or something,
Wonders of the microverse.
Yeah. Spores.
But I'm waiting for that one. That one's
that's when they get really desperate.
Yeah. Though
it would be so cool to see a whole bunch of these things. Like every year you get a new series of wonders.
So
And maybe it retires and they do a new one.
in a week, we could have GSM times 2 on, because within the first 2 hours of this going live, he'll have all the souvenirs and he could show us.
Well, and we didn't know what the souvenirs were because I couldn't find anything, but it just so happened that I got my trackable tags today.
Ooh.
So I do
You got
have.
shoes.
Yeah, well, and it's like the other one. It has each of the wonders. So it's got the natural wonders, the Grand Canyon, the polar auroras, the Great Barrier Reef, Victoria Falls. That's one of those places I'd like to see. Paracuchin, which is a volcano of some type. And I'm sure I know it. I just can't think of what it is. And Guanabara Bay. Then the last one, of course, is Mount Everest. So those are our natural wonders of the world. Or 7 natural wonders of the world.
And then shuffling out between that and the next set.
Yes, now we've got the solar system wonders of the world, which are far less impressive in my opinion. We have the oceans of the earth. Not that isn't impressive, but I wouldn't count that as a solar system wonder of the world. Jezero crater. The surface of the sun. The asteroid belt, which reminds me of The Expanse. Rings of Saturn. The giant red spot. And Europa.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm very interested in these, but that kind of wasn't what I was expecting for the solar system wonders of the world.
I would have expected more planets. I mean, you hit some of the planets, but you could have hit all of the planets. The asteroid belt, that.
Yeah, well, you could have done all of the planets except for Earth, because it's 7.
Yeah. Earth kind of is included in the natural wonders,
right?
So Starcasher says, since there's no time limit, I'm going to do what I did last time. I will cache as normal without looking at the associated treasures and just see what happens.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of expecting to do as well, except I'm going to do a video on it for the personal YouTube channel. And Renee is going to have the trackables that we give out as we find each of those caches. But it's not likely we're going to do it that soon, because it's a foot of snow outside right now, and it's going to keep snowing on and off.
No, we had our foot of snow. We're done now.
Hopefully for the rest of the year.
Yeah. GSM times 2 says, and I'm not sure if I believe it, we can always set out our own deadlines. Bellagio and I didn't change our geocaching at all the first time. This time we'll try to get them in one day.
Yeah, and it's not that difficult to pull that off in one day, I don't think, unless you've cached out your area like we have.
What is it? So 14 caches?
Yeah,
but
14 caches, and you have to do the 7 before you can find the next 7.
Right. So it's not just 14 caches and you're done. You've got to find the right 7 first and then the next 7. So, it does take a little planning, but it's all very doable in a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're in a high density area, it's not going to be tough. You could probably pull that off in a couple of hours.
Daryl, you can do this. This is your density.
Oh, I knew as soon as I said that I was going to regret it.
Sorry. I should go back and say, dad joke alert, but I didn't. It just hit. Yeah. You knew it was coming anyway. Everything I say has a dad joke alert on it.
Yes. That's kind of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we move on to another new announcement
Oh,
from
please.
geocaching.com, which is that streaks, milestones, and the DT stats are now available in the geocachinger app.
What? In the app?
I was kind of surprised they went this way,
Mm-hmm.
but it does make sense. I kind of wish we had a little bit more on this in some of the third-party apps, and maybe we will at some point in the not so
Now I have
distant
to go
future.
look. So
But
what I want to
premium
know.
members
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to read what they had said, which is premium members can now view their current geocaching streak, difficulty and terrain grid, and geocaching milestones in the Geocachinger app. The streak counter in the Geocachinger app will keep track of your consecutive smileys, congratulate you when you've added to your streak, or encourage you when you haven't. The difficulty and terrain grid, also known as a Fizzy grid or 81 grid, watch your average difficulty and terrain rating go up as you fill in your grid. And the geocaching milestones, with these insights at your fingertips and even more on the geocaching.com, you can take your geocaching to the next level. I don't know about that part, but I am very excited to have that kind of information available to the masses. However, you still have to be a premium member.
Ah. Um, it looks very well done. I was hoping, right? Hoping beyond hope that you could click on one of those DT quadrants or squares and sort them, but you can't. Not on the app, which is okay. You can do it on the web. You can still go out and plan what you need to do from the website. And the milestones look very nice.
Yeah.
1, 5, 10, 25, 50, 75, then hundreds.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I hope to see further development on it.
GSM times 2 says, where is it? I just looked. So if you log into the app and click stats right there on the profile page.
And you may have to update your app. And Chris Brew says the same thing. So make sure you've updated the app, and if you haven't, it might not have been rolled out to you yet. I'm not sure that mine actually updated. I should go and check that.
Apparently mine did. I don't remember when that happened, but there you go. I didn't see a streak counter on there. Oh, yes, they call it a streak. I'm not much of a streak.
I'm looking at my milestones, and almost all of them have been archived.
Yes, same here.
But I don't have the streaks showing up in that stats. Adventure is everywhere. Find a geocache today. Now, I wonder if that banner is where that streak counter will be.
That mine says the same thing, so it's not randomized.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that because we are not currently in a streak, it doesn't show. But Chris Brew has found it.
There it be. Where? I have a 5-day streak. Who knew?
And GSM times 2. Got it. He thinks his automatically updated. That may very well be.
Okay, you got to tell us where you found it. Okay, let's go to settings. Metric. Keep map. No.
Kitty Catch says that she's in a streak and can't find it either. While they're looking for that, why don't we move on to an article from R. Reagan, who sent this in. Looking for Cache has stopped development. And in the blog post, he said, almost 10 years ago, I started development of Looking for Cache and spent a lot of time with it. Since then, a lot has happened in my private life. I bought a house with my wife, renovated it by myself, and created a wonderful garden. But the most important thing is we got 2 children. Though I love the way he says that, because I envision them going to the store and picking out the kids like puppies.
Oh, this one's cute. Can I keep it?
It followed me home, honey. Really? Anyway, uh, no, it's very funny. But in any case, the time I can spend on looking for cash is therefore limited. Therefore, I have decided to stop developing Looking for Cash. Looking for Cash Pro is available for free in the App Store as of today.
Oh, interesting.
So he's making it free. He's keeping the servers online for a little while. And unfortunately, it's yet another geocaching app that's going to be going away.
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, R. Reagan, I appreciate your effort in the 10 years you've been working on this one.
Well, that's not our Reagan. That's who sent
Well,
us
you're
it.
right. You're exactly right. As soon as that came out, I knew it was wrong.
Yeah. I'm trying to call him Stefan, and I know that's totally wrong. Stefan's the
Project GC.
No, CGO. Or not CGO.
I don't know where you're going, Daryl.
The GSAC for Android One. GC Droid.
GC Droid.
So yeah, he's a local cacher. I haven't heard too much about that one lately. So Chris Bruce says it is the banner above the DT grid. So that spot that we were looking at that had that words of encouragement would be the streak counter if we actually had a streak.
Bingo. We don't have a streak, apparently.
And then Bob says, I suspect it only shows your streak if you found a cache today or maybe yesterday.
I found a cache yesterday.
I did not find a cache yesterday.
Didn't find one today. I went out looking for other things today.
Like errands?
Monkey Shines. It's a Tacoma thing. We got artisans that do glass floats. So they're balls, they're discs, different things. And this year they made 2,400 of them and hid them around. 200 artisans get together and they put it out for Chinese New Year.
So it's like a hide and go seek kind of thing, or is there a map?
There's no map. There's no real indication of where they are. You just go. So I've been, my wife and I went for a walk in one of the public parks. I took my daughter out for a walk in a park. My dad went with me today. And, we didn't find any yet. It may be too late already, but they say for a couple of weeks after Chinese New Year, this goes on. So
that is very cool, actually.
And they're free. They ask you only take one.
Wow.
It's been going on for over 12. Is this the 13th year? So the Chinese Zodiac has, come around.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any photos?
You can look at the Facebook page of what they are.
Okay. Let's move on to an email from Limax, though, who says, I'm in the middle of planning my next geocache. Hashtag geocaching road trip. 25 caches in 400 miles. Some of the caches I'm going after are multis. And this particular hider uses certitude so you can make sure you've interpreted all of the information correctly. Have you encountered coordinate checkers on multis?
No, I have not.
I have, but it's not that frequent. What I've noticed is I'm seeing them on Adventure Labs.
Oh, interesting.
So the Adventure Lab will have a code word or something that you build out of the clues that you have to put into certitude, and then that will give you the chords to the final.
Okay.
So it's a way of translating it, and it completely eliminates the problem that I had of getting the Adventure Lab to update if you have to correct the chords in your cache.
Daryl, there's a monkey shine, by the way.
Ooh.
So it's a glass orb, and we're known for glass in the area. Dale Shahuli is a very famous glass artist. And so they make a glass float. It's a ball, hollow ball. and then they stamp it with whatever year it happens to be.
Wow.
So year of the goat or ox. Sorry.
Yeah,
Now,
I was going to say it's not goat.
may have found one. There are other artists getting into this and putting out art at the same time. So as I was looking around with my daughter, I found a large acrylic like Bulls logo. And I go, that could be an ox. And it had a Chinese coin attached to it. And I said, I think this is one. Here, you get to keep it. So anyway,
Interesting. But it was acrylic.
acrylic, yes, not glass.
Huh. So it's a knockoff.
Yes. Well, they call them rogue artists.
There you go.
So
It's the rogue one.
Certitude in multis, I have not seen it. There are some multis that have taken me, weeks to do. Is I can go down, do a couple of steps while I'm, shopping or doing errands, and okay, well, I can't seem to find it. Maybe I've messed up. Let me contact the CO again. No, that stage is missing. Okay, and then so I've just been able to do it by contacting the CO. I haven't had a coordinate checker, but I love that idea.
Yeah, it's really nice to have something for those multis. And I kind of would like to see something that would allow for, hey, this stage is missing for the multis with the stickers on the back of the sign kind of thing. I've run into the multi caches where you have to find a sticker on the back of the sign or something to get the chords to the next stage. That always is those the sign got removed, the sticker is gone, tree fell over, whatever it was. Those are always the one that give the multis a black eye. And I've seen some of the cache owners who set up autoresponders on their email to do progressive hints. That's kind of obnoxious, especially because those autoresponders tend to stop working by the time I try to find them. But if you could come up with something as a backup plan, I think it would really go a long way to rejuvenate the impression of a multi-cache.
Multis are getting harder for people to want to do with adventure labs.
Yeah.
And Kitty Catch, I think we've got her creative juices flowing. It's a certitude checker. That may work really well from an X Adventure Lab. 5 locations on 5 islands you kayak to, but you need to solve a puzzle first to get the coordinates of the islands on our lake.
There you go. Sounds like a good plan.
I love it.
I did get another Adventure Lab credit. So I got to really get on the.
Okay, so do you have 2 total or just 1?
I have a second one, yes. So I have the one that's listed, and now I have a new credit that I was awarded. Right. I got the email like a week or 2 ago, and I had been planning it out, and I just never did it.
Right. So I had an Adventure Lab credit, and I got an email that I got another one, but I still only have 1 credit. It's like they resent out, hey, don't forget you have an Adventure Lab. Multiple people received that.
Wow, maybe I need to check it. I don't know. Anyway, Jim Stark said, I added, if I can click on it, I added one to one of my multis when a person couldn't find my final and noted that he wasn't sure of his math and the cache was missing.
Oh. Well, sorry.
And speaking of Adventure Labs and missing, my bonus cache went missing. And this is the one I've had to go out twice because people have said that it was missing and it was still there. Like both times I went to put the replacement in and I hit the original trying to put the replacement in. It was like that difficult. I knew where it was and I still couldn't find it.
Okay.
And I swear it's not that difficult to find. It's just a nano on a sign. How is that difficult? Right?
Well, you never know.
Well, and it was like a bare stainless steel blinker. Blinky. On a aluminum bracket. with a metal stainless steel band strapping it to the sign. So it just blended in that well. There's a like zip strip that was left on from some sign that was attached to it, and it just hides really well in there. So I'm like, oh no, I'm sure it's still there. I'll go check on it. Checked on it, couldn't find it. So I made sure to put a more obvious container in this time. And when I got there, there's snow piled up around the pole, and I'm thinking, what probably happened is they were plowing the street and knocked it off with the snow.
Just if they came by at high speed, that snow wash is not to be messed with.
Deadly, yeah. Well, and we have a ton of signs that are actually down right now because of the snowplows just blowing this really heavy, yucky snow around. So I have the feeling that that's what happened. It's probably still sitting at the base of that pole. But
in the spring, you have to get out there quick. Go find it.
I don't think I have till the spring, but I'm also thinking we got another big snowfall, and they didn't even have places to put the snow this time. We got that much snow. I better go out there and check on it this weekend, make sure it's still there.
Wow. I mean, we got a lot of snow for Western Washington. We were hitting an inch an hour for just about 12 hours. So, that's really heavy here. But
yeah, we got a little more than that.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a couple more articles that we'll blow through that I thought were going to be interesting. The first is about a new GNSS aboard a low Earth orbit satellite that's in development.
This is interesting.
Yeah. So the whole article will be in the show notes again, of course, but it's a patent pending system architecture combining the efficiency and innovation of the new space era with the world of satellite navigation to help enable modern intelligence systems to operate safely in any condition anywhere on the planet. And this is from, I'm going to say it's Zona Space System, XONA. So this is a San Mateo-based startup, and they've got a service agreement to start in 2020, I guess, or 2022, I guess, with the Alpha missions. But it's a possibly 10 times better accuracy.
As long as they don't push into the 5G bandwidth or, what I find interesting about this press release, apparently we're in a new space era. I didn't know the space era ever ended.
This is a new era because we're looking at all of these micro satellites, low Earth orbit. This is what SpaceX is doing for internet service. Have you heard about that one?
Well, I've heard several of these micro satellites going up, several plans to put micro satellites up and beam down internet.
Yeah, this one, they're actually doing the pre-sales now. So it's like 20 or I think it's more than that, but it's like a $50 setup fee and you'll get your modem kind of thing. If you want the full kit, it's like $500, but there's nothing
a real issue.
Well, it's it's latency that's the issue. It's a very fast service for the distance. It's an LTE or better service. But it's that latency because of the time to travel.
So is internet going to become a service, a worldwide service that's just given away?
No, you have to pay for the service.
Okay.
But what this does is give rural areas the ability to do, decent broadband access. You can't do Zoom, for instance. The latency is going to be too bad. I mean, it's like, my guess is you're talking about round trip because it's you going out and then them coming back with their signal. You're probably talking something like a minute or two.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking noticeable seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be terrible, but if you're trying to do Netflix streaming, if you're trying to do YouTube, that kind of stuff, it's going to be, fast enough that you can do those things. It's just not going to be quick in the response times. And this is stuff that right now they're still doing dial-up in a lot of the rural communities.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get out into some of the less developed areas, you don't have anything.
And, as you see this, even just look at the US alone of how many students can't get online to do online learning because it's just not available to them. You get a farm that's far enough away from a point of presence for a phone company, and you can't get internet. So it'll be interesting.
GSM Times 2 says his nephew lives in the mountains and is using one of these satellite services. He says it works really well 95% of the time and not at all 5% of the time. And that is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Because these services are dealing with the clouds and everything, if you have substantial interference, it's not going to work.
Right. I can imagine any sort of electrical storm would just cancel it out.
Yeah, I don't know. But I would assume that it's not going to work well under those conditions. But it gets access to places that didn't have it before.
Right.
They do have some smaller, jetpack, cradle point type units that you can carry with you. So this is something that we could use when we go hiking into the woods. It's very impressive. And I hope that it does pan out if it's not going to cause too many other problems. Mm-hmm. The difference between this and Lightspeed that we were kind of railing against before, this is low Earth orbit. They don't have to do, they have to do a whole lot of satellites, but they don't have to do the power per satellite. So it doesn't bleed as badly as the others did. So
his nephew says he can do emails and things like that for business purposes. He rents an office in town. Starcasher says it may not be good to watch live podcasts that have chat rooms. No. It'd be fine. You just won't be able to, enter into the conversation because by the time you do something, it'll be 5 minutes in the past that you've talked about it.
Well, this is the thing that bugs me already with YouTube live stream is there's a 10 to 20 second delay anyway.
Yes.
So we've already moved on to the next topic by the time people are responding.
And there's a little longer delay in StreamYard to get the chats in. Buffalo Bob says, I've heard they've eliminated deadlines for getting Adventure Labs published. Can anyone confirm or deny that?
I cannot, but I didn't get a deadline on my newest one.
GSM Times 2 confirms that it's true.
That will be nice, though.
GSM Times 2. There he is again. MC3 Cat says, please respect our 10-second delay. So we'll sit here and wait 10 seconds to see if anybody responds to that, and then we'll move on. That makes great audio podcasting, let me tell you.
Oh, hey,
we have one more story.
Yes, we do. This
test began of Galileo's ONISMA signal authorization service. First for any satellite navigation system, Galileo has achieved the first position fixed-based on navigation signals carrying authenticated data, according to the European Space Agency. Now, I read that sentence.
And it's very difficult to
I have no idea what it means.
Well, no, it means the signal that gave them the positional fixed was authenticated.
Okay.
So it's carrying authentication in the signal for the first time ever. And the whole reason that they're doing this is to combat malicious spoofing.
Yes.
And it does help with jamming and interference because it's authenticated. Now, jamming, you're still going to have to try to filter that out, but because it's
especially the Raspberry jamming.
Yes.
So
that does terrible things to the radar.
Yeah. So that's Galileo's open system navigation message authentication. So they're working on developing two-way messaging through this, but they're also building in security so it can't be spoofed.
And part of the thing with the Galileo system is that two-way communication. So you could do distress signals from like a jetliner that's going down, automated or otherwise, and send the best data.
Red Rover.
The other thing that they were talking about was a pirate alarm, essentially, for the freighters in the oceans, because they have no
So when
communication.
I'd be talking with my pirate voice, they're gonna find me.
Well, if you're in the middle of the ocean, your only hope is for some other ship to hear it and relay, or a satellite phone.
Well, what about these new microsatellites? Will they cover the oceans as well?
I don't know.
I don't see why they would want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's a business case for it, then yeah, they're going to do that.
Well, think about it as, a backup means of communication, right? You're not working on radio. You can actually work with satellite communication, reach anywhere in the world. And
well, one of the things that I think it was SpaceX was talking about was being able to provide better, faster internet service to things like cruise ships.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that does all the airplane Wi-Fi as it stands right now that I can't think of the name of.
You mean the one that's $12 per flight?
Yeah. They were looking at getting into this with one of the companies, I can't remember whom, for the same kind of thing, because it would lower the cost and improve the speeds.
And if it's something that can be integrated into a phone, eventually you could just get it on your phone.
Yeah, I gather it's not that powerful that you can do it on a phone. You need to have the antenna.
Oh, there will be time. There will be a time. It will be.
Yeah, but that's not going to be this round.
No.
That's going to be Gen 3 or 4 is my guess. So
who's Jen?
Given some time. She's the one who's actually working. MC3 Cat says go.
Go in flight.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
Go wireless internet. Oh wait, didn't that sound anyway?
I was just thinking I don't want to see the wires that they have to use for a 747.
Yeah, $12 per flight, and it doesn't work because everyone else is trying it.
Yeah. All right, you know what? We better get going because it's almost an hour.
Daryl, good show tonight. We had a lot of good topics.
And it's hard to believe that we had this much after only a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's amazing how time flies. All right. Thanks again for joining us. And I am looking forward to actually seeing that calibration target, which I kept thinking was a disc, but now looking at the images online, it doesn't look like that is.
Well, it's a round target.
It's a round target.
There's 3 round targets on that calibration.
Well, I thought it was more than 3
round images on that calibration target.
I got to look that up again.
Okay.
Darn it. And I do like the reference on there for Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's going to do it for this week's show. Check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Sofenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2021 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with a Cachemaniac.